In 2007, one man walked into Las Vegas and changed history.
My name is Terrance Watanabe.
Terrance Watanabe, a millionaire businessman, was a gambler like no other. Over 3 years, he didn't just lose his fortune, he became a legend. $204 million. Gone. The largest personal loss in Las Vegas history.
I unfortunately don't have the funds to survive. I'm almost homeless.
But this isn't just a story about bad luck at the tables. Terrance was no ordinary gambler, and the casinos, they didn't just watch him fall. They made sure he kept playing. Unlimited drinks, endless perks, anything to keep him at the tables, no matter how far he spiraled. How does a man go from building a multi-million-dollar empire to losing everything at the blackjack table? Was it addiction, exploitation, or something far darker? This is the story of the man Las Vegas couldn't say no to. Terrance Watanabe was born in 1957 in Omaha, Nebraska. His father, Harry Watanabe, had built a small but growing business called the Oriental Trading Company, one of the first suppliers of carnival toys and party products in America. From the start, Terrance was expected to follow in his father's footsteps. At 15, Terrance started working in the family business, learning the ins and outs of operations. By 20, he was appointed CEO. It was a big responsibility for someone so young, but Terrance didn't waste the opportunity. He saw something others didn't: the growing demand for party supplies. Under his leadership, Oriental Trading shifted its focus and expanded rapidly. What began as a regional operation with just 17 stores became a company generating $25 million a month. It was one of the biggest successes of its kind, and by the 1990s, Oriental Trading had become a household name. But Terrance's success came at a cost. He worked constantly, long hours, constant travel, and little time for anything else. Former colleagues said he was consumed by the business. He never married, never started a family, and, according to his sister, never had a serious romantic relationship. His life was the company, nothing else. By the time he turned 43, it was clear he had burned out. Decades of non-stop work had taken its toll, and Terrance decided it was time to walk away. In 2000, he sold his share of Oriental Trading for an undisclosed amount. With that, his career ended, and his next chapter began. Terrance told reporters he wanted to focus on philanthropy and, quote, have more fun. And for a while, that's what he did. He donated millions to charity and set up the Terry K. Watanabe Charitable Trust. But it didn't take long for restlessness to set in. Terrance had spent his entire life working, and without that structure, he didn't know what to do with himself. He tried to start new businesses, but nothing worked. And with too much time on his hands, Terrance started looking for something to fill the void. At first, it was harmless, small trips to a casino across the border in Iowa. But it didn't stay small for long. As the months dragged on, the pattern became clear. Friends who saw him during this period said he would talk about gambling with a strange excitement, like it was the one thing that gave him purpose. The more he played, the more he wanted. Gambling offered him the kind of thrill his daily life no longer did, and as the habit grew, so did his bets. Terrance wasn't just looking to pass the time anymore, he was chasing something. And by 2005, the small trips to local casinos weren't enough. Terrance began traveling to Las Vegas, a city designed to keep gamblers playing. What started as occasional visits quickly turned into a regular routine. And for someone with Terrance's wealth, the casinos were more than happy to accommodate. He started at the Rio, one of the city's iconic casinos, where the staff wasted no time treating him like royalty. High-limit games, luxury suites, and constant attention. Terrance didn't have to ask for anything. The casino made sure of that. They saw his wealth, his habits, and his potential, and they were determined to keep him playing. But it wasn't just the games that kept Terrance coming back. His gambling habit was soon joined by another: drinking. At the tables, he was rarely seen without a glass of Jewel of Russia vodka, a brand that quickly became his signature. And just like the games, the casinos encouraged it. The more he drank, the more he bet. And for someone like Terrance, that was exactly what they wanted. Not everyone in Vegas welcomed him, though. In 2006, billionaire Steve Wynn, the owner of Wynn Las Vegas, personally banned Terrance from his casino after concluding he was a compulsive gambler and an alcoholic. But the ban didn't slow him down. It simply pushed him toward casinos that were willing to overlook his addictions. That's when Caesars Palace stepped in. The casino didn't just welcome Terrance, they built their operations around him. He was given a 3-bedroom suite, unlimited luxury perks, and a new status tier created just for him: chairman. This was a level above the exclusive 7 Stars loyalty program, and Terrance was the only person who had it. To the employees who watched him, Terrance was unforgettable. One night, after a massive losing streak, he handed a security guard thousands of dollars and told him to, quote, buy every steak in town. Hours later, the guard returned with enough meat to fill an industrial freezer. Terrance handed it all out, cut by cut, to casino employees, laughing as he said, "Don't let it go to waste." For him, the money didn't matter. The gesture did. But the perks didn't stop there. Caesars offered him 15% cash back on losses over $500,000, $12,500 a month for airfare, and even $500,000 in credit at the gift shops. For Terrance, the casino wasn't just a place to gamble, it was his entire world. And with no intervention and no one telling him to stop, the spiral continued. By now, Terrance wasn't just losing money, he was losing time, perspective, and control. Casino employees recalled him staying at the tables for up to 24 hours at a time, betting $50,000 per hand at blackjack. But despite the high stakes, his gambling wasn't strategic. Terrance avoided skill-based games like poker, preferring the simplicity of roulette, slots, and blackjack, games where the house always wins. In a city built to keep people playing, Terrance became the ideal customer. The casinos gave him everything he wanted, and in return, he gave them something even bigger: his fortune. But by 2007, it was clear that the spiral wasn't sustainable. Terrance's losses were mounting, and his world was starting to unravel. By late 2007, Terrance wasn't the same man who had built a business empire. His physical appearance had changed. Casino employees remembered his slouch posture, unshaven face, and glassy stare. At times, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. More worrying were the moments where Terrance would simply forget where he was. A former employee recalled Terrance sitting at a roulette table, staring at the wheel for minutes after the game had ended. It was like watching someone completely detached from reality, he said. But nobody stopped him. After all, Terrance's losses were their gain, and as long as he could bet, the casino would let him. In that year alone, Terrance lost $127 million at Caesars Palace. To put that in perspective, his losses made up nearly 20% of the casino's total revenue. He wasn't just another high roller, he was their biggest customer and their most profitable one. The stories from casino employees during this time paint a grim picture. Terrance would spend hours at the table, sometimes gambling for up to 24 hours straight. Blackjack, slots, roulette, it didn't matter. His bets were massive and his decisions reckless. At blackjack, he played 3 hands at once with a $50,000 limit per hand, often making moves that baffled even the dealers. But the losses didn't just affect Terrance, they affected everyone around him. On good nights, he was known to hand out thousands of dollars in tips to staff, bundles of $100 bills or gift cards stuffed into Tiffany boxes. On bad nights, he stumbled through the casino, visibly intoxicated, unable to remember conversations or even stay awake at the tables. The alcohol only made things worse. According to court records, Terrance drank constantly while gambling. Caesars employees served him 2 to 3 bottles of Jewel of Russia vodka per day, ensuring he was never without a drink. When a concerned companion once begged a waitress to water down his vodka, she refused, allegedly saying, "Terry gets whatever he wants." And that was the problem. Nobody said no to him. Even as the losses mounted, Caesars kept him playing. In one instance, the casino extended him a $17 million loan, knowing he was already deeply in debt. It was a clear sign that Terrance was running out of money. But instead of stopping him, they gave him more. For Terrance, the spiral was no longer just about addiction. It was about chasing something he couldn't win back. Thanksgiving 2007 was supposed to be a time to reconnect, but for Terrance's family, it was a breaking point. His brother and sister arrived to visit him and couldn't believe what they saw. Terrance was unrecognizable, physically worn down, emotionally distant, and disoriented. Over dinner, they confronted him, pressing for answers. That's when Terrance admitted the truth. "I've lost over $100 million this year." The room fell silent. His sister recalled feeling a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. They begged him to stop gambling, but Terrance promised that he just needed one big win to turn it all around. For his family, it was clear. Terrance was far beyond saving himself. In January 2008, just weeks after selling his Omaha mansion for $2.66 million, Terrance was back in Vegas, still trying to win it all back. It was a race he couldn't win. Over the course of 3 years, Terrance Watanabe lost $204 million, and by early 2008, he was out of money, out of options, and facing a massive debt to Caesars Palace. But the story wasn't over. What followed was a battle between Terrance and the casino that would reveal just how far both sides were willing to go. Caesars Palace claimed he still owed them $14.7 million in unpaid loans. To the casino, it was business as usual, a high roller who couldn't pay his debts. But to Terrance, it was something far more sinister. In the months that followed, Terrance launched a lawsuit against Caesars, accusing the casino of exploiting his addiction. Court documents revealed shocking details. Employees had kept him drinking, serving him 2 to 3 bottles of vodka every day, even when he was visibly intoxicated. On at least one occasion, a companion pleaded with staff to stop serving him. Their response? "Terry gets whatever he wants." The lawsuit also alleged that Caesars provided Terrance with prescription drugs to keep him gambling. The casino denied all wrongdoing, claiming Terrance had made adult decisions to gamble, drink, and spend his money. A spokesperson stated, quote, "We're in the gambling business. Our job is to keep players happy." And for Terrance Watanabe, they had done just that. But while Terrance blamed Caesars, the casino was fighting back. They pursued criminal charges against him for failing to repay the $14.7 million loan, a debt that carried a potential prison sentence of 28 years. Now, Terrance wasn't just financially ruined, he was facing the very real possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. The legal battle dragged on for months, but neither side came out victorious. Eventually, both Terrance and Caesars dropped their lawsuits. The criminal charges were dismissed, but by then, the damage was done. Terrance returned to Omaha, but his life never recovered. He had no income, no savings, and no business to fall back on. The man who handed out thousands of dollars to casino staff now found himself nearly homeless. In 2017, Terrance made a public plea for help, revealing he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. He started a GoFundMe campaign to raise $100,000 for treatment, but only managed to collect $28,000. In his own words, Terrance said, "I've accepted my situation and do not pity myself, but my hope is that you'll forgive me for my past and help me live long enough to help others in the future." For Las Vegas, Terrance was the ideal customer, a man with limitless wealth and no limits. The casino gave him luxury, perks, and attention until there was nothing left to take. And for Terrance, what started as a distraction from boredom became a hole he could never climb out of.